In this video, I'm going to review how to graph a line for your Desmos project. I have my folder set up. I have my picture. It might be a good idea also to change the opacity of your picture if you'd like it darker or you want to be able to see your lines easier. Another adjustment to make as you're doing your project is projector mode will make things darker if that's easier to read. And I have my folders, and underneath I'm going to start to graph a couple of my lines. And I'm just going to sort of make some educated guesses or estimates for this W here. And the easiest way to start would be something in slope-intercept form. The W looks pretty steep, so I'm going to start with something like that. And it looks parallel to the W, and now I'm going to shift it over, which means that actually the y-intercept needs to be lower. And then I'm just adjusting a little bit more until I get this part of the W. Next, I'm going to restrict it, and I'm going to restrict it for x values. I might need a piece of paper as I do this to write down some of the numbers that are showing up on the screen. So the left restriction is going to be 1.305. And the right restriction is going to be, chop it off right there, 1.4. I'm going to type these in order. I'm going to go to the end of my equation and put in my brace. I'm going to type in the smaller number, 1.305 is less than x is less than 1.4. And there's my line. And then I can also change the color if I want to adjust that. Then I'm going to graph another one for this bottom part of the W, which looks like it's going to be at about 7.6, right about there. And then I'm going to restrict this one with respect to x as well. By the way, if I want to know where these lines exactly cross, I could undo this restriction and it will tell me 1.305, which actually was what I had before. So I'm going to undo that and put the restriction back in. And that actually means that the restriction for this blue one is going to be, taking my brace, 1.305 is less than x. Then I'm going to graph the other part of the W here. I'm actually going to wait to maybe restrict this blue one so that way I can have Desmos tell me where to chop these off, where they intersect. And I'm actually going to just copy this equation because it should be parallel, and I'm just going to shift it down . Right about there. And it tells me that my left x value is 1.925. And my right value, I'm just going to have to pick it myself. I might actually pick 1.4 again so that they, or sorry, I can't pick the same one. I'm just going to say maybe 2.02. If I do my restriction and I notice that my line has disappeared, then I know I've just maybe typed it wrong, or maybe I wrote down the y values instead of the x values. So I have a couple lines now. I'm also going to go back and restrict this one using, it should be this number. And copy and paste is handy for that. And then I can change my colors. There we go. And then I can start to sort these in my folder. So I'm going to count this as a slope-intercept, and you can see how it gets bumped in. I'm going to count this one as a horizontal, and I'm going to count this one also as a slope-intercept. Another way to do this, if you don't like sort of the trial and error approach, is you could type in a equation that you'll eventually delete that has sliders and get it to where you need it to be. And so I'll get this using my sliders. Let's say I want to do the t. I know my slope is 8. In fact, this looks perfect. And what I'll do is I'll type in my equation below using those numbers. I'll maybe change it black. I'll maybe move it up. And I'm going to hide now this purple one. And I might just keep using this one as an equation to find all of my other ones. But eventually I'm going to delete this. Let's say I choose to delete it now because it helped me get this. And then I'll restrict this one the same way I restricted the other one. Also be sure that you're saving frequently. It doesn't autosave. Make sure you have a title here, and also make sure that you're clicking on, if you have multiple versions of your graph, make sure you click on the most current one by maybe double checking the last equation that you entered in.